Hello students, welcome to all of you Shiksha 360 CAB IT elective classes. Today we have to cover the chapter number 20, very easy topic and definitely you will get 4 to 5 questions from that topic also. And whatever we will cover today, you will get 2 to 3 questions from that also. MCQs for practice purpose already provided in the group, you can go through that. So chapter number 20 basically based on the RBI guidelines on the cyber security and the digital payment security. So here we have to check out the guidelines of the RBI that is on the cyber security and on the digital payment security. So now let's start our discussion. So Reserve Bank of India, that is RBI, from time to time has been issuing guidelines for its constituents with respect to the information security, which has gained tremendous importance in the recent time or in the recent past. Okay. So Reserve Bank of India, that is from time to time, has been issuing guidelines for its constituents with the respect to the information security, which has gained tremendous importance in the recent past. The policies, the frameworks, standards, procedures, and controls. The policies, framework, standards, procedures, and controls with respect to the information security. With respect to what? That is the information security of the banks in India are thus framed within the ambit. Clear are thus framed within the ambit of RBI guidelines. Clear are thus framed within the ambit of RBI guidelines. So the RBI itself has created an IT subsidiary. Clear. The RBI itself has created an IT subsidiary called the REBIT. Please remember this one. That is the Reserve Bank Information Technology Private Limited. Clear. The RBI itself has created an IT subsidiary called REBIT, that is Reserve Bank Information Technology Private Limited for its IT and cyber security needs. Clear? Basically for what? For its IT and cyber security needs and to ensure the cyber resilience of the Indian banking. Clear? And to ensure the cyber resilience of the Indian banking. Clear? So what it creates, that is its own IT subsidiary, that is REBIT. Reserve Bank. RE stands for the Reserve. B stands for the Bank. IT Information Technology Private Limited. Clear? Reserve Bank Information Technology Private Limited for its IT and security cyber needs. So what is the difference between the word cyber security and the information security? Clear? So here we have two words. One is the information security. Second one, that is the cyber security. Now let's discuss what is the difference between both these things. So while information security basically focuses on the protecting confidentiality, integrity, and availability of the information. Clear? While information security focusing on what? That is focusing on the protecting confidentiality of the information, integrity, and the availability of the information. On the other side, cyber security, it is the ability. Here on the other side, cyber security, it is the ability to protect or defend the use of cyberspace. Okay. Cyber security is the ability to protect or defend the use of cyberspace from the cyber attacks. Okay. Cyber security on the other side, it is the ability to protect or defend the use of cyberspace from the cyber attacks. Cyberspace, basically what is that? It is nothing but interconnected network of the information system. So clear cyber security, what is cyberspace? What is that? Cyberspace, basically it is nothing but interconnected network of information systems or infrastructures. Okay. So cyberspace here, it is nothing but interconnected network of the information systems or infrastructure such as the internet, telecommunication network, computer systems, embedded processors and controllers and many other systems. Okay. So cyberspace, it is nothing but interconnected network of the information system or infrastructure such as the internet telecommunications networks, computer networks, embedded processors and controllers and many other systems. So traditional information security has limited coverage of the risks. Clear? Traditional information security has limited coverage of the risks that is emanating or we can say that generating from the cyberspace, such as cyber warfare. Clear? So traditional information security has limited coverage of the risk emanating from the cyberspace, such as cyber warfare, negative social impacts of the interaction of people. Okay. Cyberspace, such as cyber warfare, first one. Second one, that is the negative social impacts of the interaction of people. Under that, we have trolling, defamatory viral messages, etc. Software and services on the internet and threats from the Internet of Things, that is IoT. Okay. So traditional information security has the limited coverage of risk that are emanating arising from the cyberspace, such as cyber warfare, negative social impacts of the interaction of people. Under that, negative social impacts of the interaction of people, that is first one trolling, second one defamatory viral messages, etc. Third one software and services on the internet. Fourth one, that is threats from the Internet of Things. Clear, threats from the Internet of Things. So these and other threats are not classic information security issues. Clear, these and other threats are not classic information security issues and thus need to be covered. Clear, and further that is, and thus need to be covered under a separate cyber security framework. Clear, and thus need to be covered under a separate cyber security framework. So what are that? The emerging technologies. Clear, that is the emerging technologies and the tools. The emerging technologies and the tools within the cyberspace is rapidly increasing organizations' exposure to new vulnerabilities, thereby increasing the risk to the organization. Okay, that is the as the technology is going to increase, it lets also to the basically risk to the organization also increasing. So, given the benefits of the cyberspace, it is imperative that the organizations manage their risk effectively through a robust cyber security framework. Clear? So, given the benefits of the cyberspace, it is imperative, clear, it is imperative that the organizations manage their risk effectively. Clear, it is imperative that the organizations manage their risk effectively through a robust cyber security framework. Clear, through a robust cyber security framework to be here. So now that is RBI guidelines on the cyber security in the banks. So what are the RBI guidelines regarding the cyber security? Clear, here we have discussed regarding the cyber security and the information security. Simple information security, that is basically focusing on protecting the confidentiality, integrity, and the availability of the information. So next one. So RBI guidelines on the cyber security in the banks. So need for a board approved cyber security policy. Bank should immediately put in place a cyber security policy, elucidating the strategy containing an appropriate approach to combat, that is to control the cyber threats given the level of complexity of business. Clear, containing an appropriate approach to combat, that is to control the cyber threats given the level of complexity of the business and acceptable levels of the risk duly approved by their board. Clear, and acceptable level of the risks duly approved by their board. So that is need for a board approved cybersecurity policy. Banks should immediately put in place a cybersecurity policy elucidating the strategy containing an appropriate approach to combat the cyber threats given the level of the complexity. Clear, given the level of the complexity of the business and acceptable levels of risk duly approved by their board. Clear, that is to be duly approved by their board. So a confirmation in this regard, clear, a confirmation in this regard may be communicated to the cyber security and information technology examination. Okay. So regarding the confirmation, basically whom we have to send, that is to the CSIT, that is Cyber Security and Information Technology Examination, cell of the Department of Banking Supervision, Reserve Bank of India. Clear? So this is the department of the Reserve Bank of India. Okay. That is, banks should immediately put in place a cyber security policy. Next point. So cyber security policy is to be distinct from the broader IT policy. Yeah. Cyber security policy, it is to be distinct from the broader IT policy or the information security policy of the bank. So in order to address the need for the entire bank to contribute to a cyber safe environment, the cyber security policy should be distinct and separate. Where the cyber security policy should be distinct and separate from the broader IT policy. Clear, from the broader IT policy, so that it can highlight the risk. Clear, so that it can highlight the risk from the cyber threats, clear, so that it can highlight the risk from the cyber threats and the measures to address or mitigate these risks, clear, so that it can highlight the risk that is from generating from the cyber threats and the measures to address and mitigate these risks, clear, and to measure the address and mitigate these risks. That is comes under the cyber security policy, clear. That is, so in order to address the need for the entire bank to contribute to a safe environment, the cyber security policy should be distinct and separate from the broader IT policy, clear, and separate from the broader IT policy or security policy, so that it can highlight the risk from the cyber threats and the measures to address or mitigate these risks. So the size, the system, technological complexity, digital products, stakeholders, and threat perception. The size, the systems, technological complexity, digital products, stakeholders, and threat perception vary from bank to bank. Clear, that will be vary from bank to bank, and hence it is important. Clear, and hence it is important to identify the inherent risk and the controls in place. Clear, and hence it is too important to identify the inherent risk and the controls in place to adopt the appropriate cyber security framework. Clear, to adopt the appropriate cyber security framework. So while identifying and assessing the inherent risk, banks are required, clear, while identifying and assessing the inherent risk, banks are required to reckon on the technologies adopted. Clear. So while identifying and assessing the inherent risks, banks are required to here basically reckon on the technologies adopted, alignment with the business and regulatory requirement connections established. Clear. So while identifying and assessing the inherent risks, banks are required to reckon on the technologies adopted, alignment with the business and regulatory requirements, connections established, delivery channels, online or mobile products, technology services, organizational culture, and internal and external threats. Clear. Organizational culture and internal and external threats. Clear. So all are to be taken care of, and that the very important that is cyber security policies. It is to be distinct from the broader IT policy or the IS security policy of the bank. So depending upon the level of the inherent risk, the banks are required, clear, the banks are required to identify their riskiness as low, moderate, high, and very high, or adopt any other similar categorization, clear, or adopt any other similar categorization. So riskiness of the business. Next one, that is the riskiness of the business component also may be factored into while assessing the inherent risk. Clear. So riskiness of the business component also may be factored into while assessing the inherent risk. So while evaluating the controls, okay, so while evaluating the controls, board oversight, policies, processes, cyber risk management architecture, including the experienced and qualified resources. Clear. So while evaluating the controls, board oversight, policies, processes, cyber risk management architecture, that is including the experienced and qualified resources, training and culture, threat intelligence, threat intelligence gathering arrangement, monitoring and analyzing the threat intelligence safe vis-a-vis the situation as per the situation, obtaining in banks, information sharing arrangement that is among the peer banks with ID, RBT or RBC or CERT, preventive, detective, and corrective cybersecurity controls, preventive, detective, and corrective cybersecurity controls, vendor management, and incident management and response are to be outlined. Okay? Vendor management and incident management and response are to be outlined. Clear, and response are to be outlined to be clear. Okay. That is depending on the level of the inherent risk, the banks are required to identify their riskiness as low, moderate, high, and very high, or adopt any other similar categorization. So riskiness of the business component also may be factored into while assessing the inherent risk. While evaluating the controls, board oversight, policies, processes, cyber risk management architecture, including the experienced and qualified resources, training and culture, threat intelligence, gathering arrangements, monitoring and analyzing the threat intelligence achieved vis-a-vis the situation obtaining in the banks, information sharing arrangements, that is among the peer banks, with the ID, RBT or RB or CRT, preventive, detective, and corrective cybersecurity controls, vendor management and incident management and response are to be outlined to be here. Clear, are to be outlined to be here. So next one, that is assess arrangement for the continuous surveillance. So testing for vulnerabilities at reasonable intervals of time. Clear, testing for vulnerabilities basically at reasonable intervals of time. It is very important. So the nature of cyber attacks are such. Clear, the nature of cyber attacks are such that they can occur at any time. Clear, the nature of cyber attacks are such that they can occur at any time and in a manner they have not been anticipated. So hence it is mandated that SOC, that is SOC stand for the Security Operations Center, has been set up at the earliest, if not has been done. Okay. So what they have to be set up, that the Security Operations Center. So these are all the questions. Earlier we have also, that is REBIT, Reserve Bank Information Technology. We have already discussed that full form, that is REBIT. Yeah, that is a Reserve Bank Information Technology Private Limited subsidiary they have already created. Clear. Now it is mandated that SOC, Securities Operations Center, being set up at the earliest, if not has been done. It is also essential that this center ensures. Clear. It is also essential that this center ensures continuous surveillance and keep itself regularly updated. Clear. It is also essential that the center ensures continuous surveillance and keep itself regularly updated on the latest nature. Clear. Of emerging cyber threats. Clear. And keep itself regularly updated on the latest nature of emerging cyber threats. Clear. On the latest nature of emerging cyber. SOC, just you have to remember that Securities Operations Center. So IT architecture should be conducive to the security. Clear. IT architecture. Clear, that is information technology architecture should be conducive to the security. So the IT architecture should be designed in such a manner that it should take care of the facilitating the security measures to be in place at all the times. The same needs to be reviewed by the IT subcommittee of the board and upgraded if required as per the risk assessment in the phased manner. So the risk cost or the potential cost trade-off decision which a bank should take should be recorded in writing. Clear. Take off decisions which a bank may take should be recorded in writing to enable an appropriate supervisory assessment subsequently. Clear. To enable an appropriate supervisory assessment subsequently. So an indicative but not exhaustive. Clear. An indicative but not exhaustive minimum baseline cyber security and resilience framework. Clear. And indicative but not exhaustive minimum baseline cyber security and resilience framework to be implemented by the banks. Further, that is, banks should proactively initiate the process of setting up and operationalizing a security operation center to monitor and manage the cyber risks in the real time. Clear. That is, they have to maintain or upgrade their IT architecture as per their security. Clear. Or as per their risk, so that banks are safe from these types of the cyber risk. Clear. And to tackle all the issues if there is anything arises. That is comprehensively address network and the database securities. So recent incidents have highlighted the need to thoroughly review the network security in every bank. In addition, it has been observed, clear, in addition, it has been observed that many times connection to the networks and databases, clear, that many times connections to the network and databases are allowed for a specific period of time. Clear. So in addition, it has been observed that many times connections to the networks and the databases are allowed for a specified period of time to facilitate some business or operational requirement. Clear. Forward to facilitate the some business or operational requirement. However, the same do not get closed. Clear. However, the same do not get closed due to the oversight making the network and database vulnerable to the cyber attacks. Clear. In addition, it has been observed that many times connection to the networks and databases are allowed for a specified period of time to facilitate some business or operational requirement. However, the same do not get closed. Clear. However, the same do not get closed due to the oversight. Clear. However, the same do not get closed due to the oversight making the network. Clear. Due to the oversight making the network database vulnerable to the cyber attacks. So it is essential here that the unauthorized access. Clear. It is essential here that the unauthorized access to the network and databases is not allowed. Clear. It is essential that the unauthorized access to the network and databases it is not allowed, and wherever permitted, clear, and wherever permitted, these are through well-defined processes, clear. So it is essential here that the unauthorized access to the networks and databases, it is not allowed, and wherever permitted, these are through well-defined processes, clear, and wherever permitted, these are through well-defined processes which are invariably followed, clear, through the well-defined processes which are invariably followed. So responsibility over such networks, clear. So responsibilities over such networks and the databases should be clearly illustrated, that is explained, and should invariably rest with the officials of the bank, and should invariably rest with the officials of the bank. So that is, we have to comprehensively address the network and the database security of the organization. So in this session, we have to discuss up to this much point. In the next session, we have to discuss the cyber crisis management plan. Clear? That is very, very important for the examination point of view. Or there are basically only 2 slides for that I will cover in this session also. That is cyber crisis management plan. Clear? CCMP. In the examination, definitely you will get one question on that. What is CCMP? Cyber security management plan. So a cyber security management plan should be immediately evolved and should be part of the overall board approved strategy, clear, and should be a part of the overall board approved strategy. So considering the fact that cyber security is different from the many other risks, the traditional BCP or DR arrangement already covered under the chapter number 7 may not be adequate and hence needs to be revisited, keeping in view the nuisances of the cyber risk, clear. That may not be adequate or sufficient, hence needs to be revisited, keeping in view the nuisances of the cyber risk. So as you may be aware that in India, certain, that is Computer Emergency Response Team, India, that is a government entity. Yeah. So please remember that CCMP, that is Cyber Crisis Management Plan, CERT, Computer Emergency Response Team. That is, a government entity has been taking important initiatives in strengthening the cyber security by providing proactive and reactive services, as well as the guidelines, threat intelligence, and assessment of the preparedness of the various agencies across the sectors, including the financial sector. Clear? And assessment of the preparedness of the various agencies across the sectors. Clear? Preparedness of the various agencies across the sectors, including the financial sector. So certain also have come up with the National Cyber Crime Management Plan, clear, National Cyber Crisis Management Plan, and Cyber Security Assessment Framework. So certain or National Cyber, NCIIPC or RB or IDRBT, clear, IDRBT. I think all of you are very well remember that. What is the full form of IDRBT? If you are not able to remember, please, if you are a member, please comment in the comment section. Otherwise, I will explain all the full forms in the next section. Guidance may be referred to while formulating the CCMP, clear, that is Cyber Crisis Management Plan. So what it constitutes, clear, CCMP should address the following 4 aspects. First, we have to detect, then a response, then a recovery, then containment. CCMP should address the following 4 aspects, that is, first of all, we have to detect that thing, then we have to respond, recovery, and containment. Clear? Detect, response, recovery, containment. Clear? Detect, response, recovery, containment. So this is regarding the CCMP. Okay, so in this session, we have to discuss up to this much point. And I request to all of you, please go through the questions which are already provided in the group for the practice purpose. And definitely what we have discussed till now, 2 to 3 questions you will get definitely in your examination. So thanks to all of you for joining this basic discussion on the cyber security.